Good evening. This meeting is now called to order. This is the Education and Youth and Families Committee meeting for Wednesday, November 9th, 2022. I am the chair, Councilwoman Yolanda McCoy for the 6th District, and at this time, I will call the roll for the members of the committee first. Councilmember Darby. Councilmember.
Present.
Okay. Councilmember Fields. Councilmember Oliver. Councilmember Mills.
Present.
And President Congo.
Here.
Okay. So I thank you all for joining us this evening. Tonight we only have one thing that's actually on the agenda. We have a resolution, and I will give you this information. It is a resolution encouraging the administration to develop an online directory of our youth services, and the sponsor is Councilman Mills. Councilman Mills, do you have anything that you'd like to speak on to this matter?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, whereas positive youth development is essential to a child's social, psychological, and emotional skills, as well as their academic performance, it is paramount to the health, safety, economic prosperity, and overall well-being of our children, their families, and our city, that young people know how to access community supports at critical stages of their life. And this is why I'm very supportive of this, trying to get the administration to develop an online resources.
Okay, thank you.
In addition to this, I have Director Ian Smith, who was going to speak to it as well.
Okay, thank you. Director Smith, do you have anything that you'd like to ask or comment towards this resolution?
Yes, I was able to, well, first of all, good evening, Council President Congo, Madam Chair McCoy, Councilman Mill, and Darby, Councilwoman Darby. So I received a text from, or communication from the Chief of Staff asking about this idea about the youth online directory, upon which I gave Councilman Mills a call because we are working on this thing called the incubator grant, and we're in the second year of the grant. Initially, the grant was the second year we were supposed to work with the Wilmington Leadership Corp, which no longer exists. And so in the midst of all the other programming going on with the grant, the idea came up, why don't we create some type of online directory? And initially wasn't even online, it was really just having the youth take the opportunity to find out from their friends, what is it that you're looking for in just your personal life? What were the struggles you have? What are things you've heard your friends need? What are their interests that they weren't able to find links to it or connections to that interest? And so the idea came that we could also try to develop that online resource where there is a place on the city website that if a child is looking for some type of resource, they're able to go there and hopefully find it. And as more requests are asked, we would just keep developing this online youth resource manual. So that was just really the general idea. So once Councilwoman asked what my thoughts were about the idea, I said it was something that came up as a possible project, and I'd love to see if we could just combine the two.
Thank you. Sounds like a great idea. Did anyone else have anything to add or a comment or statement to this resolution?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Oh, Mr. President.
Thank you. I would like to be added as a co-sponsor. Is there a timeline when we want this to be put into effect?
We would need to just work on developing that. Ultimately, this was something that we weren't supposed to do. It was just an idea to do it. So I would say at the highest level, let's just start the three of us right here, four of us, our department in this committee, just figuring out, end of the day, when this grant is over, how are we going to maintain it? Where would it actually rest? Where would it sit? I think the best idea would probably be with the Youth and Family Service division within our department, but Council President, a timeline has not been developed yet. And in fact, our kids, they don't even know that they're going to be asked to develop this. That's how fresh and new the idea is.
Okay, thank you. Just a follow-up.
Yes.
Okay. This is also something that I have been previously working on just through council's website. So I would definitely like to just to be a part of any way that I could help. I know we had some ideas of the actual organizations being able to upload their information to like a portal, because it'd be pretty much impossible for us to know everything that's going on. But we would just advertise and have those different organizations come to us who do offer those, those activities that are geared towards the younger, towards the youth. So that's just something that we might want to put out there also.
Yeah, so to give you some more information, just a little bit more of the conversation Councilman Mills and I had, really the broader conversation went towards the recent assessment that was done on youth violence here and the gun violence issue. And so you're right on the nose when you talk about being able to upload the information depending on who you are, because sort of the thinking is what we have are community centers throughout the city that don't speak with each other.
All right.
And so when you're talking about providing programming, really no community center will have all the programming that's needed. So if you really want to be able to take advantage of programming for your kids, it may be boxing at Hicks Anderson, but youth government at the YMCA, or employment through the Teen Warehouse. So that would be critical for a parent, and if we're talking about the highest level of gun violence, a probation officer, to map out what programming would look like for their kids. That would be a great place, a one-stop shop.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Director Smith. Actually, I had a comment also. Excuse me. I too would like to be added as a co-sponsor. This is something that I had gotten a chance to talk to Councilman Mills about. When he brought it up, I was like, oh my God, that's great, because I was thinking kind of on the same path. My question, I guess, is more so about whether or not it will be just the community centers here within the city, or whether or not other nonprofits who actually engage with our youth, are they to be added? And then the other question is, we already have an app, I believe, that they have put together for our summer youth. Would this just be like a link or a worksheet or some sort added to our website, maybe thinking about that? Or can it just be like something that can stand alone, like an app? So these are questions I would love to actually dig deeper and like a dive into, to see whether or not how we would be able to gather all that information from not just the 10 community centers that are within the city, but more so if others would like to promote and build capacity for their different programs.
I agree. It would actually need all of that. The nonprofits, the community centers. Yeah, I think at some point we would have to have IT involved to just figure out what that looks like. But yeah, anyone providing services for our kids, having a place where you're able to upload information, a centralized, what's the word I'm looking for? Database.
Right. Okay. I would like to recognize that Councilman Fields has joined us. Thank you. So I don't have anything else that I'd like to add to this. We only have the one item on the agenda. I don't have anything else that I needed to add to this. I do think that this is actually a great idea. And I do think that we probably should look to putting a timeline on it, on how soon we can get this information out. Because, once, right now we're about to go through like the sleepy time and everyone's going to be in the house because it's dark. But as soon as, the sun comes back out again, parents are going to be looking for what is there available for my child. And to be able to say within 6 months' time or so that like, oh, we're working, like we've worked on something all this time, and here, let's at least roll out what we have. Oh, I see that Councilwoman Darby, she has her hand up.
Yes, thank you. Now, I wanted to first to be added as a co-sponsor. I am definitely in support of this. I have a small database of youth services that I already distribute out, and it's on my website. So I would love to be a part of it, and I think it should be. Sorry, I have my niece. I think it should be an additional. It should be a planning meeting with youth, with nonprofits, programs in the community. I think a lot of times we just say nonprofits, but there are a lot of programs operating in the city who do great work with our kids, but it's really hard establishing a 501c3. And in communities like ours, we have like programs like STEP teams. They're not 501c3, but you know, they work with youth. Or like you have like Skate Vibes and Ascending Queens who aren't 501c3 yet, but they do like girl programs and have summer camps and different things like that. So I think it's really important to like expand out, just not thinking of nonprofits, but I also think it starts with a planning group where it includes the community, where it's just not city council coming up with what this looks like.
Okay, thank you very much, Councilwoman Darby.
I have a question, Madam Chair.
Councilman Fields?
Thank you. I just would like to know, Mr. Smith, I'm sorry, like Madam Chair said, how soon can we get this up? Because I think it would be beneficial to get it up soon because we have the summer youth program coming up. And I think it would be beneficial for the parents and the children to be able to go online and fill it out, like have a network, because I know sometimes it's very difficult for the parents to fill the information out or the children to fill the information out. So this would be a good way to funnel that summer application and make sure that they have all that information.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I hesitate to give a timeline because one, this was like I said, the youth that I'm working with, they don't even know that they're going to be asked to do this.
Gotcha.
And so outside of them doing it, then it would actually be me assigning someone on staff to put this together. So it's really, I would need to figure out or know what is the lift if it's going to be broader than the initial thought that I had. What's going to be the lift and who on staff would be doing that. But it seems like we've already have some of those pieces already together. But maybe this first step would be with IT and just figuring out how would you host it online? Some of those internal technical questions. I think gathering the information would be rather easy. But then after that, you know, programs are here 1 week, gone the next week. Who's going to be updating this information? If there are 200, 300, 400 entry points, who's checking to make sure that they're still valid? Who's checking on emails? If someone leaves the job, who's updating this information? So, you know, just not knowing any of that stuff, we can set up a meeting to start talking about what are the areas we need to be thinking about. That might be a start, but to say that it'll be done on this date, I would be very cautious with that in terms of asking my staff to do something beyond the initial thought, which is really having the kids do it and letting their timeline and their ability to work on this be the guiding.
Okay. Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. Can I follow up?
Yes.
And I'm sorry that I missed the beginning, but you're telling me that you have youth already working together to work on this directory for youth services. Is that correct? I can't hear you.
We're going into the second year of our grant, and it is about to start up. And so those youth, we know some of the ones that were there the first year are returning, but we have not solidified all of the youth that will be a part of the program. So yeah, we do know some of the kids, but we don't know exactly all of the kids who will be participating yet.
Madam Chair, can I follow up?
Yes.
And then you said you will have an employee of Parks and Recreation guiding and supervising these youth. Am I correct?
So no, it's a consultant that's a part of the grant who, we just added this piece. So initially so this grant was supposed to have started 2 years ago. And at that time, I believe there was and I might be saying the name incorrectly, the Wilmington Leadership Corp. I'm going to say that no longer exists. So because that second year of the grant, that piece doesn't exist, we just came up with what could we do? What could we work on? And that second part really was identifying leaders throughout the youth leaders in each one of the districts. I think was pretty much what it was supposed to do. So because it doesn't exist anymore, we said, okay, what could we do? In addition to all the other parts that we're working on, what could we do? And so that was just an idea and a thought. The kids have no idea that they're going to be asked to develop a resource manual based on their experience of what they want, need, desire, and what their friends have wanted and needed. So based on that, we were going to allow them to sort of take the lead. It wasn't going to be adult-led. We were going to let them come up with what they thought should be in a youth resource manual. So I only shared the idea with Councilman Mills because Chief of Staff asked me what my thoughts were about it. And I said, well, you know what, we're thinking about doing one of those ourselves. So I reached out to the councilman and shared the idea and see if there's an opportunity to do it together. But other than that, there's like I said, they don't know. And we want it to be youth led with our guidance. So not sure what they would come up with, how they would want to minimize it or maximize it or expand it.
Okay, so there is no need for there's no need for a planning committee because the children are already there to help with the planning and to develop the manual for the online services for the youth. Am I correct?
No, actually, I disagree.
The kids exist.
Why?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Director Smith. No, I was stating that I actually disagree. Planning meeting is still required because the kids actually have no true direction as of yet.
So, but that's what is that not what the consultant is for?
The consultant is there to, I guess, to guide or to
Right,
steer.
that's what I'm
But
saying,
yes,
like the
but-
guide.
So let me just try to simplify this just a little bit, if I can. What Councilman Mills actually is requesting, this is basically something that he wants to put in your wheelhouse. This is what we would like to see, council would like to see for the residents of the city. I say to simplify it by making it a buildable database. If we are unable to put all of that information in initially, then at least to start by making certain that everything that Parks and Rec is offering, and then maybe even the local community centers, if they're giving every small program, as was stated, that Councilman Darby gave us. As we know, there are lots of different programs, and we don't know whether or not they have the sustainability to go from year to year. That is something that they will have to work on. But those that we know, we have 10 community centers that get like safe haven monies every year, so we know that they are basically through the state, and the state recognizes these as community centers annually. So we can use them, and whatever is being done through Parks and Recreation can have a database. If we build on top of that, that could probably happen the following year and the following year, but we need something maybe that's easy enough for the young people to start with.
Right, and I guess that's what we would need to figure out, because
well,
keep in
that's what I
mind,
was saying, John.
it really, when we say Parks and Rec, unless we're talking about the idea that we had for these small kids, we're really talking about IT, and we need Mr. Rago's department that deals with the online, our website. So outside of that, it would just be IT creating these portals and whomever uploading whatever they want to upload, and where would it go? So that aspect of it really wouldn't have anything to do with Parks and Recreation. It's an IT thing, building that out, and like I said, and then our webmasters monitoring what's being put up there and them approving it, I guess. But in terms of yeah, if I understand the initial parts correctly. Now, what I'm working on with our group is having the youth just go through the process of developing it themselves. And we would just have this one portal that they did as a project to say it exists and put it up there. But the idea that we're talking about is a more grand idea, and I think it's the direction we should be going. But just so we're clear, it really is going to be IT in this beginning section, IT and Mr. Rago's department, who controls the website. That first meeting would involve them setting some type of parameters or letting us know what we're able to do.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Mills actually had something on that.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I guess after our conversation, what I was thinking was one with the children. I was thinking the children's information that they gather and present would be one that can be included in this adult website. This is not just some kid's website, is what I'm thinking, a professional website, something on the city web form, definitely with IT involved, but the information that the youth are gathering from the center, your youth are able to take that information, some of the information, the programs we may not know about as the adults, you know. Some of the IT people may not know about those programs that the teens are involved in. It may be a girls group that's not very active, not very big, but one of your youth may know about it, so they can present that information. That's why I thought that was a plus, to have the youth involved, but then be able to have a portal of such where other programs will be able to submit, okay, we do this, we do that, and then the parents will be able to go to that site. I need anger management. I can click here and see who does anger management, what's going on. I need something for my kids to do Wednesday after school from this time to this time, what's going on. That's what I was looking for. So it's not just the kids, but I think the kids are a valuable part of it, and that information that the kids will gather will definitely be included in that. It was my thought as well. Thank you, Director Smith, and thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So did anyone else have any other questions or comments about this resolution?
Can I just be added as a co-sponsor, please?
Yes.
Yes, Madam Chair, I have a comment.
Yes, President Congo.
So, yes, so Director Smith, with what Councilman Mills just simplified for us, does that make it easier to have some type of timeline of progression so we can get started? I would just hate for this to get lost in the season, you know, kind of get lost, and 6 months from now we're talking about, you know, what happened. So
Right.
is there a way that we can just start to try to implement the planning part of this? Because I think it's extremely important. And our new chief of staff and I, we were just talking about ways to make like our city website, city council, the administration, just more attractive to our residents, to make them feel more engaged. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to do that. So I don't want it to get lost in the shuffle.
Correct. Well, I think it's just a matter of scheduling that first meeting with IT and Mr. Rago's department, the website portion of what they do. That would be the first meeting. And then once the infrastructure is there, then we're able to just have people uploading it. Then in addition to that, our group will still be working. So yeah, I can take the lead in sending an email to those two departments and starting the process.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, if there are any other, okay, yes.
Yeah, Madam Chair, if you don't mind, Mr. Smith, you mentioned that there are some current youth that's currently working on something now. Is that the Youth Leadership Council, or how did you select those youth? I was just curious if that was the Youth Leadership Council you were referring to.
No, that is the youth in the Wilmington Youth Leadership Incubator Program.
Okay, so that's not.
And these youth were selected by the sites. So the sites that we worked with last year was LACC, the Teen Warehouse, PAL, Hicks, and West End Neighborhood House were the ones that we worked with last year.
Okay, so does
There's some of them are returning, some of them graduated. We are going to look to ask the centers to add some additional kids, but we're in the process of ending one year and starting up the other. So we're sort of in the in the gap right now. We're hoping to start up our programming by December 1st.
Madam Chair?
Yes, please.
So then, so basically, the Youth Leadership Council doesn't exist anymore? And also, is this going to be part of the bigger plan for the Youth Master Plan?
Well, it could be. The Youth Master Plan, as it was presented, really was some instructions on how to build a Youth Master Plan. And so the Youth Master Plan doesn't actually exist. At least what I read, it was really just how to set up a Youth Master Plan. And in the last, I don't recall who I was speaking to about it, it might have been to this committee, we already do portions of what would be in a Youth Master Plan. So we can just call it a Youth Master Plan if we wanted to, but it doesn't technically exist right now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Besney. So are there any other comments or questions? Or do we have anyone that's in the public that have a comment or question?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for having this meeting, and the council people, as well as the Director of Parks and Rec. My question is, how best is the youth represented as far as the demographics of the city of Wilmington, including diverse groups and cultures, and the disabled population of youth? That are the ones that are going to be participating in the planning of the website and the information.
Oh, okay. Director Smith, were you able to answer that question? Or should we get back to,
Well, I can tell you the youth that are in our program are selected by the sites. And as far as I know, there aren't any children who have any visible disabilities. I imagine there probably are some kids with disabilities, but you can't see them. In terms of if we do this the way that we're talking about tonight, in terms of a portal that you can upload information, whomever can, then it would be for whoever would want to upload information into the portal. There would probably need to be some approval process, but so two parts. One, in terms of our program, the site select the youth. In terms of the overall plan, that this is beyond just for the youth, it's a resource manual for the city. I imagine anyone would have access to it that had the technological ability to put it upload it.
So when you do your outreach to get people and youth to upload the information, are you going to reach out to these small pockets of communities that are sort of invisible? I'm just thinking off the top of my head, you have the Muslim community, they have their programs for youth who are Muslim, etc. You know what I mean?
Well, that marketing aspect, I imagine will grow as people are asked to put the information up there, but we would need to figure out what that marketing looks like. Parks and Recreation does not have the ability to reach all of those areas that you just mentioned. However, if each one of us who participate and contribute to putting information into the portal also makes a commitment to share the information and include others in there, I think as a community we can get there. So yeah, I mean, we will, Parks and Recreation will reach out to those who we already communicate with and work with. We now have an online membership for the Hicks Anderson, so we'd be able to reach out to families to let them know what's going on there. But it would be a collective effort of everyone who is aware of the portal to upload to it.
Okay, thank you, Director Smith.
Yes, ma'am.
ma'am, before you get off, I just forgot to ask you if you can please just introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this is Nancy Lopez.
Okay. Thank you so much for your questions, Ms.
Thank
Lopez.
you for this meeting.
Okay. So actually, that was one of the things that she asked was great information. But I do imagine that a lot of the community centers that Director Smith did speak about, that they use census tracts and zip codes and things of that nature when it comes to selecting their youth. So I am pretty confident that we are getting, when it comes to the demographic of what the city looks like, that they are doing their due diligence. So were there any other comments or questions when it comes to this resolution from either my council colleagues or the public? Okay. So if there is none, is there anything else you'd like to add, Councilman Mills?
Yes, I just wanted to say thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Director Smith, for your information. Thank you, Ms. Lopez, for your questions. And like I said, I think this website, once it's get up, it will be a living working document. It'll be something that will be ongoing. And like new programs pop up, they'll be able to add in, and then reach out to the community, and they'll be able to have their input as well. So I think that that's the blessing of this, and look forward to getting the ball rolling. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is a resolution. It does not need to be voted out of committee. Will we be bringing this to the full floor on the 17th? Okay. So we will see this resolution on the full floor before council on November 17th. So we do not have anything else that we needed to speak about this evening. Before I adjourn the meeting, I do want to state that at our very last meeting, we did have someone come and speak at length about what was going on with the our choice program and education, and what's going on with our kindergarten children. So just wanted to make you aware that if you are now looking to find to be able to choice your child or to register your child for kindergarten, now is the time. November 2nd, I think, was the date that they went ahead and opened up those websites. So now you're able to go onto the website and to either register your child for kindergarten or to begin the choice process. So I do wish you all luck. Choice window does end in January. I think it's January 12th. So make certain that you start whatever process it is. If you're considering having your child leave the your feeder pattern, you need to go ahead and start making those decisions now. So I don't have anything else. Can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. All right, so thank you very much, Wilmington. I said enjoy the rest of your evening.